Video is all about what you need to know about props and lighting. So as you maybe have or may have saw in my last video, I don't do a whole lot of props and lighting personally, but there is a time and place. So let's just get right into it. I am no expert. I would highly suggest if you are super interested in using props or super interested in using lighting, I would just go out and search a YouTube tutorial. That's one thing that I'm going to defer to other people because I personally don't have much experience doing it because I've found it just to be more or less efficient, time consuming, and not really worth the hassle, I guess. But with that being said, there is a time and place, and my experience very limited. So where they can be useful, okay, where they can be useful. So let's say you have a super high-end property. So let's just say it's for my area, that's going to be anywhere north of like 900K. So let's say you have a $2.5 million property, and you have a countertop that is, maybe it's like a white marbly countertop, super nice kitchen, and maybe there it seems like there's a lot of open space. What you could do is you could set up maybe some sort of fruit basket or candles or bottles of liquor or wine or whatever. You could set that up right in the middle, and that could be a really cool accent shot. So that's just an example of what props could be. That could, it could be whatever you want. If something comes to your mind, maybe it's, you know, a mason jar with some flowers in it, or, you know, or maybe it's one of those big um, ice buckets with a bottle of champagne or something. It can be, like I said, it could really be anything. But and again, it all comes down to creative control and, creative expressiveness. How do you want to stand out? How do you want to make the video undeniably yours? That is completely up to you. So, and maybe you have a certain prop that you bring with you on every single shoot and you try to get in there as your motif or whatever you want to call it. So again, that's up to you. That is props. And now let's talk just a tiny bit about lighting. So we briefly talked about this in the last video too, but if you have a room that's super dark and you crank up all the lights and for some reason it's still pretty dark, there's no windows, maybe the lights it's just not bright enough, or maybe the light is not functioning, which I think has to be changed before closing if it's a real estate deal. Anyway, this might be a situation where you bring light. So if you're going to view the property before you shoot the property, definitely take note of that and bring lighting package, I guess you could say, to the shoot and make sure you expose it properly. Obviously, you're going to try to, you're not going to get the lighting in, like the lighting stand and the lighting box. You're not going to get that in the video. You're going to do everything to avoid that. But that is one use case for lighting. Now, what I do for lighting, personally, I will go throughout the entire property, as a part of my walkthrough process. I flip on every single light, literally every single light that is in the entire house, the entire building, whatever it is. I'm clicking every single light on. Now, some people don't do this because there are some homes where the light might be warmer, but that's why I just make sure I adjust my white balance. Make sure I adjust my white balance in my camera. So, as I mentioned, Blackmagic Cam, that is going to be your best bet for a an app that will allow you a lot more control over your camera, and white balance is included in that. So if you want to level up your mobile filmmaking, I would highly recommend getting Blackmagic Cam, because if you have all those lights on and they're not LEDs, I don't know, maybe they're just older lights, then you might get a little bit warmer tones. In that case, you're going to want to lower that Kelvin. When you lower the Kelvin, then it appears bluer. If you raise the Kelvin, it gets a little warmer. So I should say cooler, not bluer, cooler, but it ends up looking kind of blue. Anyway, that's where lighting and that's where props are, in my opinion, most useful. But again, make the video undeniably yours. It's all up to you, and you can make it, you can do whatever you would like. Whatever you think looks good, go with that. So, little summary. Turn on all the lights in the house. Don't do it at night unless you're looking for a twilight shoot, but I would highly recommend not doing it at light with a phone. Cameras you can get away with, because you can crank the ISO up and it doesn't look as bad. But with your mobile phone, don't do it at night, and avoid low light situations or scenarios. Rely on your settings like FPS. Crank your FPS as low as possible, because that means your shutter speed is going to be double your frame rate. So that's also going to be as low as possible. And we know when we have a lower shutter speed, the shutter is going to be open longer, which is accepting more light. So some of those things, it might sound a little foreign to you right now, but it will start, becoming second nature. So rely on your camera settings. If you have to crank the ISO up, that's fine, but try to avoid it if you can. With that being said, I know this is a shorter one, but this is Mobile Video Mastery. Time to get after it.